I'm all set. Let me drink my.
All right. How do we? Do
Make
you
sure you
know
see
how we
this.
want to do this?
I know we. I know we both have different. I know. I don't. How do we do this? Do we rock paper scissors and then one of us leads the conversation for a little and then we'll switch it when they're done?
Yeah, sure. We'll do rock
Okay.
paper
Okay. Okay.
scissors.
All right.
All right.
Rock
Rock
paper.
paper
No. Let's just. No,
scissors.
that won't work. Okay. Let's go to your general and let's do it. Okay. Let's do it in your general chat. Okay. We'll both type it in and then we'll press enter at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
God damn
Fuck.
it,
All right.
man.
Run it back. Run it back. Run it back. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hell
You
yeah.
cheated. All right.
Easy.
All right. You get to take the reins for now.
All right, everybody. Welcome to my show because I won the rock paper scissors. My show. Today we're doing an interview where we're interviewing each other with one of my an IDF shell that I have in chat sometimes, and a good content creator who hosts his own discussions and hosts his own debates. So, I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, I mean, you debate people, and you have conversations on your show. How do you decide who is worth having a conversation with? And do you think there are any conversations that are not worth having?
So I'd say I have two views on this, right? There's the content view and there's like the actual like betterment for society view, right? So I feel like for
Yeah.
a lot of it, for content, listen, you give me anyone, I'll have a good conversation at least. You if it's someone who's racist, if it's I'm not gonna go down that thought tree, but anyone, you bring anyone, okay? I can make them look stupid. They'll make some funny comments. If they're deranged, even better, okay? It's, what's the strategy? It's the destiny strategy. You find the craziest people, the most bipolar people, you bring them on, you make content, okay? Probably not an ethical strategy. And then I feel like in this actual like reality answer, I feel like that if you're talking about like publicly, I feel like depending on your status is what would decide that. Like if you're a popular figure and you talking to someone would bring eyes upon them, you kind of have a right not to take everyone in. There are some people, but I also feel like personally I would not decline a lot of these, but I can see other side. I don't know. I'll give you a hard answer. I feel like there are some people that you probably shouldn't platform because I feel like giving a soft answer is such a softball. I feel like there are some people you probably shouldn't talk to unless they have some popularity in like their cause. If that is a cause that actually needs to be talked about, maybe you should discuss with them.
Sure, but I guess we could also imagine like times where there are popular people. Like for example, when Tucker Carlson interviewed Putin. Like I think if conversations are happening, they kind of have to happen in good faith, right? Because we all know Tucker Carlson probably went there with the intention to try to give a softball interview to Putin.
Yeah,
Um,
but even with the softball interview, Putin, what was this one thing he said? He said that Poland started the World War by not giving themselves up to Germany. Even with a softball, crazy people will still look crazy. That was the
that is true,
craziest thing.
actually. Yeah.
Well, I'll return this. Do you have a differing opinion on that?
No, I mean, well, my opinion would be what I just said. I think there obviously, if you're big enough, there are some people you shouldn't platform. Um, but I think conversations do kind of have to happen in good faith. So it's like, even if I'm talking to Minar, right? Minar is wild, but Minar believes what he says.
He's an Alex Jones. Yeah, he's an Alex Jones.
Yeah. So I feel like there are times where like it's worth having conversations with Minar, especially from a content point of view, right? Because they are entertaining. Like that is a thing that happens. So I feel like in those cases it can be worth having conversations with crazy people, but there are definitely times where I mean I can't think of any examples that I've done this with, but like if I know I'm talking to someone who like doesn't believe what he says, I don't think I'd be willing to really have a conversation with that person.
Menard does
They
that
have to kind of be
sometimes.
happening in good faith.
I've caught
I
Menard with
don't
that.
even.
I remember we were arguing about what was it, homosexuality, and he was telling me that it's bad because it's not natural, and I was like, well, that's not what he believes. He believes it's bad because it comes from this magical book, right? No offense.
Oh,
I
right,
already got
yeah.
one Islam death threat. I'm not trying to get any more. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but obviously he doesn't believe that. He doesn't believe that homosexuality is wrong because it's unnatural. Like that's such a stupid view. Things being natural doesn't make them good, and things being unnatural doesn't make them bad. I was like, what about chemotherapy? What about medicine? Like none of that's natural.
Yeah.
And then he agreed because that's not what he thinks about at all. The problem is though, optically that argument looks better to the general population because
Right.
anecdotally that sounds good, but it's really stupid.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the problem you run into with a lot of religious people, where it's like, that deep down, I mean, they really are arguing from a point of religion, right? But they can't really express that publicly because then it looks like they're trying to enforce their religion on everybody else. So they try to come up with sort of, other explanations for why they hold their beliefs. You see this with like abortion a lot, where there are a lot of Christians who are really against abortion because they believe a zygote has a soul at conception. But then when it comes to arguing for abortion, they kind of have to argue from a point of science because they understand that they can't enforce their religion on the whole of society.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought that's always been funny where like those like the argument of abortion for religious people obviously comes from like moral and religious beliefs, but the minute you argue with someone who is anti-abortion, they'll be like, "Do you know like all scientists agree that life begins at conception?" It's like you don't agree with science. You want to bring up the vaccine? We'll talk about
yeah.
scientists. Why don't we do that? And you'll see them like it's so annoying.
Yeah. So when we're talking about God now, that kind of brings me to one of my other questions. So can you briefly explain like how and why you became an atheist? Um,
You actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. This is a really funny story. Okay, so I'll
all
give you
right.
the slip. Okay, so my father growing up was deeply religious. Then he stopped when I was born, and then he got cancer. Just giving you the TLDR. And the cancer brought him back to religion. He ended up beating it. Thank the whatever God there is, if there is one. And there isn't. But and then he became a pastor after that. He came back to religion. Now hold on. Then he became gay. Then he got with a man. Then he tried to still be a pastor, and the church was not really good with him after that. And he kind of got kicked out of that church.
Right.
But I thought that was just a great sort of cap on it. But that's really funny because I've always grown up with religion, and I don't know if you have this experience, but if it gets shoved down your throat at an early age, especially because like at a certain point, kids question everything. Like my baby sister the other day,
Yeah.
like told my parents to try to prove the Easter bunny was real right before Easter, and they were arguing about it. And I'm like, she's already on the doubt train. This isn't good.
Yeah, there's definitely. I think one of the main reasons I became an atheist is because my parents were sending me to Sunday school,
Oh,
and
that's
I
the
just didn't like
worst.
going. I just didn't like going. So I started watching. I was like 13 at the time, right? So I started watching sort of these YouTubers like, Genetically Modified Skeptic and Alex O'Connor. Um, yeah, and that definitely started my atheist journey. So I'm curious what you think then. What do you think is the best argument that you've heard for the existence of God?
If okay, if I heard a good argument, I probably wouldn't be an atheist. I don't think there's ever been a good argument. I feel like every argument is like you have to have faith, and it's so stupid. There was a I don't remember who said this. It was on a fucking wait, can I swear on your content? Are you a
Yeah, you can swear.
okay?
Yeah.
Thank God. Oh wait, actually, I heard your minority debate. Of course, you can swear. So it was one dude who was like, I could never believe in a God that knows exactly what it would take to make everyone believe, but chooses not to do it, and the punishment of not believing is eternal damnation. He was like, either that is a God that does not exist or a God that does not deserve worship. I was like, that's a really good statement to make about a lot of it. And then there's
Sure.
just every single one has like some things that I can't follow. And you picked them up really early. Noah's Ark, ain't no fucking way they got everything on a boat. Okay. Uh, what is it? Prophet Muhammad was touching kids. I don't want to touch that religion. Okay, you know what I mean. It's just every route you go down, there's something that's like maybe you shouldn't. Pastafarianism, probably the only good one right now. If you ever looked into that one, that one's pretty good. You worship a flying spaghetti monster in the sky. Pretty good
Yeah.
religion.
So I
Yeah,
think like, one of the responses to that, I mean, I agree with you. Like an all-knowing God would know what it takes for everyone to believe in God, right? But I think one of the responses to that is, well, God gave you free will, and God just respects your choice of whether or not to believe in Him. So, what do you think of that response?
I feel like this would get down into like a very philosophical argument if I wanted to go down this like thought tree, but you can always make the argument of if he's all knowing, then everything that will happen has already been predetermined in some way, right? If he is omniscient, everything that will happen, ever happen, he already knows. So how can free will
Right.
exist with, I forgot the term for it, predestination? Is that what it is?
Uh,
Something
I
like
mean,
that.
determinism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even that works. Like if everything is, if someone knows what is going to happen at every point in time, then free will cannot exist in that aspect. But you can make the argument. I don't personally believe in free will a lot of times because there's a lot that you could say about it, like genetically, environmentally. If you gave the same
Right.
person the same thing, what's gonna happen, right?
Right. I've done, yeah, through all my reading on free will, I'm a pretty hard determinist. I think at bottom, basically everything is determined by genetics and environment, which actually kind of leads me to one of my other questions. You we all know you're a libtard, okay?
Of course, self-determined.
Yeah.
Just missing the blue hair.
Exactly. Um, how did you become a liberal? How did you become a beta male?
Oh yeah, yeah. Jesse Peterson would be so disappointed. Um, So obviously grew up in Illinois, which if you're not inside of Chicago, very conservative state. Grew up around a lot of conservative people, and I have a really funny meme that I made in like 2016 on me of iFunny, if you know what that app is. And I was in a comment section, and and the comment was something along the lines of "just these stupid liberals getting butthurt." But I was like 13 at the time when I made that comment, so obviously wasn't the most fleshed out ideology there. So I feel like you're always a carbon copy of like your parents' ideology until you flesh out your own. So I made the
Right.
jump from like conservative to like libertarian, and I was so determined to think I was a libertarian. And then I like actually looked into libertarianism and I was like, I'm not this at all. I was like, I mean, I can see some aspects, but like I feel like I fit way more into this party. And then the minute I was in this like looking into the liberal ideology and like looking into other things like, you know, being a cuck and all these other like parts of the ideology, right? I realized that it just a lot of it aligns with me. I have like something like being pro-Israel throws you way out of the. I know
Right.
no very liberal person will call me liberal. I've been called a Zionist, and then I've been called a Trump supporter, and I've also been called. It's just you get called name from both sides if you're in the middle. If you have your own opinions, I feel like it's so difficult. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think one thing that sort of concerns me is especially because I'm young. Well, we're both young, but is seeing how far left a lot of our generation is getting pushed, where we're seeing like almost a majority of people start to embrace socialism. Um, however you define that, people have wildly different definitions, which is annoying.
True.
Um, yeah. So what do you think of that? Do you think is that something you try to fight against?
That's really ironic because I'm going to be talking to a communist pretty soon. But I don't even think we're talking about Israel. I mean, communists. I think we're going to talk about Israel. But I've never like fleshed out any ideas on the economy just because I will be honest. I know where my weaknesses are and I know where my strengths are. I feel like if I put a lot of time into learning the economy, I still wouldn't know anything. Okay, I
Yeah.
put 100 into Nvidia when Nancy Pelosi did. I made some good money, but I made no decisions by myself there. Okay, I wouldn't leave me alone in the stock market. I would drown. Um, but yeah, I feel like when it comes down to it, it's so scary. TikTok is just I think TikTok brain rotted everyone. I don't know what happened with people becoming super liberal, but it's like I don't know how to like conceptualize it, but I also feel like a lot of this could just be the norm, right? Like there's always been the meme that you're
Right.
if you're not a communist in college, who are you, right? Like you're supposed to be that. And maybe with social media it is being elevated. We just see it more. That's an argument I could get behind, but we won't know until like 10 years on the line when we see like voting polls and we see Bernie Sanders in
Right.
his grave is winning the vote. But it's interesting.
Right. Yeah. I think one of the things, especially with TikTok, one of the things that sort of blackpilled me on a TikTok ban is seeing all the misinformation about expired food being airdropped in Gaza. And it was so easy for people to spread fake videos and fake news, actual fake news about it. Um, and it was so in order to refute it, you had to already have some knowledge on like how MREs work and the Julian dates that they print on MREs. Um, and like, yeah, I had friends actually believe that we were airdropping expired food in the Gaza, and their evidence were like 2 debunked videos. But just because the debunked videos can spread so fast in TikTok, um, that's what people ended up believing. That was wild to me.
Yeah, that one literally wasn't that one. That one was just. I hate it. I hate it so much. No, you're gonna trigger me. No. It's just crazy that everyone feels like they're an expert on every topic that ever comes up. So they'll read a headline and they'll be like, and they'll bring it up in an argument and they'll use it without even knowing any of the context. I feel like I made a joke before where I was like, if I feel like to enter a Israel and Palestine conversation, you must pull up a map and you must point out where the West Bank is, the Gaza Strip, and Jerusalem. If you can point out those, we'll talk, okay? I at least know you know where it is. But I genuinely feel like 70% of people would not know where to point to. It's so interesting how, like...
Right. And we both talked a lot about Israel on our channels, right? Have you always been, I guess, relatively pro-Israel? And did October 7th change your views on anything?
I was actually very pro-Palestinian when I first learned about it, because every media source is pro-Palestinian, right? So all I'm seeing is
Right.
like the infographics where it was like death by year, and it shows like Palestinian death by year, Palestinian death by year, Palestinian death by year, and it's like Israel only happened like this year. It was like the deaths were super unproportional until now, which is funny because they're still unproportional, but that's not the point. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Israel is like a horrible like state, and oh my god, why is it even a thing? What happened? And I looked into it, and I was like, okay, so they had a war. Okay, Palestine had the right to fight in the what was it 1948, the Nakba?
Yeah, 48. Yeah,
So they had a right to fight there. Okay, lost. Okay, cool. They had a right to fight in 67. They did. Lost. Okay.
lost.
I was like, how many times can someone do this before they have to bite the bullet on some negotiation? I feel like that was like my turning point. Like they had a moral authority to fight so many times, and every time they lost. Okay, at some point you got to realize that the moral authority, you have to make a better peace offering. Like how many deaths would be saved if after 67 they did agree on the 67 borders? As though as people are very aggressive on either side of that. It's so interesting.
Yeah, I definitely was a lot more pro-Palestinian before October 7th, just because I hadn't like looked into that too much, right? So like all the stuff I was reading was relatively pro-Palestinian, and like the way people talk about things, like Resolution 242, to make it seem like what Israel's doing is some like illegal occupation. When they're like, if you look into it, UN 242 probably isn't binding because it's under Chapter 6. UN 242 specifically says territories occupied instead of the territories occupied because the drafters actually didn't want Israel to withdraw from all of the territories that they occupied in the 67 war. But you would never know this stuff if you didn't do more reading into it and you only read Noam Chomsky like I used to do.
No, you gotta read.
Yeah.
You gotta read Finkelstein. You gotta get the real knowledge about the database. No, yeah, I feel like that was actually a big turning point. You did just make me think about that. Is that pro-Palestinian people made the movement look so bad when they went on like public platforms very early without knowing anything and just talked about it a lot. I know I've seen so many videos where it was like someone looking stupid on the topic, and it made me kind of just start leaning in the other direction. And I realized as well that I feel like because the popular opinion is to be pro like Palestinian, that if you are pro Israel, it's because you. It sounds like a really, really biased take, but I feel like if you are pro Israel, you probably are more informed than the average Palestinian, pro Palestinian, because I feel like everyone that sees the thing going on is like, okay, obviously I'm going to be pro Palestinian. Okay, see someone that's pro Israel. Hey, you're wrong. Let's talk about it. So in 1948, what happened in 1948? Wait, we're talking about the Balfour, the what? The like, and every time you see this, you're just like, how is one side like coming in with all of this knowledge, and the other one like, what was the? Oh, I'm about to reference something really stupid, but the Benny Morrison, Destiny, Lex Friedman, Finkelstein, like the Rami dude. In the middle of it, what is it? Finkelstein quotes like 4 different times the requirements in the court case, and what is it? I forgot the way it's pronounced, but the mens reas for genocide.
Specialis.
Yes.
Mens rea, yeah.
And he's like, I've read this so many times, and Destiny references that, and he's like, that's called mens rea. And it's like, if you really read this 6 different times, or you said you read it so much, how do you miss that when that's like the key contributor to that. I actually have a debate
Right.
on is Israel apartheid on the 12th, so I'm looking into that as well.
Right. People, yeah, that's always annoyed me is how people play like tricky word games with all the different definitions of like targeting and intent. And like most people don't really know. Like no one, almost no one is going to be able to like lay out the like dolus specialis, dolus directus, dolus indirectus, dolus eventialis. Yeah. Which are all like different layers of intent, different levels of intent, which all correlate to different levels of crime. Um, so people will try to play word games with saying like Israel is targeting civilians, right? When in a dolus indirectus case, that is a little bit true, because it is true that when Israel does a strike on a building, they will anticipate some amount of incidental damage to civilians. So obviously, Israel, like every other military ever, does strikes where they know civilians are likely to die. But when you say something like intentionally targeting, under international law, intentionally targeting means acting with purpose, dolus directus. It means you're acting with the purpose to kill those civilians. But nobody's ever going to know that. Like 99% of people are never going to read into that. So you can say something like, you can look at the high casualty numbers and say, well, oh, Israel did this strike and they knew civilians were going to die in this strike and they've killed 30,000 civilians and 150% of people are children. Yeah. And those tricky word games just super, super annoy me. And it definitely takes more reading to understand that than it does to just be pro-Palestinian as the default position.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. It's literally the default. Yeah, I feel like the best way to solve this is I think we need to go to Times Square, okay, and then put on the billboards a Kahoot, and it's gonna be about Israel and Palestine, and we're gonna see who can get the highest score, and that's the person that will solve this issue. I feel like that's the best way. It's just
Right.
yeah, no, I do feel like it is interesting though. I think you saw the meme I posted. Right the day I was gonna debate Israel strike that aid convoy. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh fuck. And I looked into it, so I was like, let's see like what happened here that I can find to show me what went wrong, right? What went wrong. And they were like, well, it was just a mistake. We did some like the proportionality, we did the wrong assessments, this, and I'm like, okay, that was a whole lot of nothing. Okay. I'm gonna just say bad thing, and like there's no defending that, right? And I had someone go on my
Right.
one of my it was comment on my video, and it was like, how can you agree that this is a bad thing and you still will support Israel? And I was like, well, because I'm not a goldfish. The most recent action of like a current event doesn't change my entire opinion on the current event. I was like, of course, that's a bad thing. And I think Israel like probably handled themselves wrong in that. I could like obviously believe that. I'm not being paid by the IDF as I drink my Starbucks they delivered today. But I think it's just so interesting that you'll see people be like, well, look at this one instance. Doesn't this show you that your entire view on this is wrong? And it's like, I don't, it's very much of like a goldfish mind, I think is the best way to put it. It's just like most current topic is the most influential in the entire thing.
Yeah. Well, the attention span of the internet is so short, you know.
30-second TikToks.
Exactly. And it's always going to take more effort to like to explain what deconfliction is, to explain how airstrikes work and how commanders have to approve airstrikes, than it is to just say, well, Israel killed these aid workers because they're evil, and they wanted to kill the aid workers that day. Because it takes much longer to explain that stuff. The misinformation is always going to spread so much faster, and it's super annoying. Yeah. Well, you have some. I mean, you can respond to that, but you have some questions for me too, right?
Of course. No, I do have some, but they're about like philosophy, so I don't want to completely derail us. So if we want to like get through this,
I mean, you're good.
yeah, okay. But I do feel like I feel like no, everyone just like don't go with like Occam's razor, if you know what I mean. Someone outside of my house is mowing the lawn. Do you hear that by any chance? Are you picking that up?
A little bit, but
Fuck. Okay.
it's fine.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It won't totally ruin the content.
Yeah. It's
But-
just a little buzzing. It's fine.
Yeah, I feel like it's like Occam's razor, where it's like if the most obvious outcome is probably the one that happened, like I feel like the burden of proof to change that opinion should be the one we go for. It's not Israel wanted to kill these people. Now prove me wrong. Like it shouldn't be like that. It should be if you want to show that
Yeah.
you have to come with that burden of proof. But I can start it off with a good question because I saw this and I tried to look into it and I saw 20 million math equations that I did not want to look into. But in your bio, you have a belief that I'd like you to dive into, and I would try to pronounce it, but I cannot.
Oh, okay.
It's the new.
Is it neo-Keynesian?
Yes. I need you
New
to
Keynesian?
light this up for me.
What is new Keynesianism? Okay. So it's an economic term. Basically, during the Great Depression, there's this guy, you probably heard of him at least a few times, called John Maynard Keynes. And this was the time, during the Great Depression, a lot of macroeconomics wasn't sort of solved yet. And we still don't know too much about macroeconomics, but the field was like in its total infancy. So like during the Great Depression, there were a lot of bad ideas about what to do with the economy. Like, for example, people were trying to balance the budget. People were letting banks fail because they thought that if they could purge the rottenness out of the system, the economy would eventually be better. And John Maynard Keynes basically came along and said, hey, I think the government should be spending more money, should be trying to make people's lives better. I think that basically we need to stabilize demand so that way businesses will be incentivized to meet that demand with supply. And eventually people kept adding on to these ideas, and they did it enough when now it's called new Keynesianism instead of just Keynesianism. So if I had to reduce new Keynesianism down to like a few propositions, I would say number one, markets are slow to adjust to changes in macroeconomic conditions because of something called nominal rigidity. You might have heard people use the words sticky wages and sticky prices before. Basically, I mean, it's pretty simple. Almost no one is willing to if you work at a company and there's a recession and that company says, hey, we're going to reduce everybody's wages by 30%. That almost never happens. People are almost never willing to stay at that job. Because of that, wages are really slow to adjust to changes in the macroeconomy. And the same thing is true of prices, because people are used to prices being what they are. And then secondly, I would say the government should stabilize effective demand to prevent something called the paradox of thrift. I don't know if you've heard of it, but the paradox of thrift is basically this idea that if individuals start saving more money, it will actually reduce total savings in the long run because your spending is just somebody else's income. So if you start spending less, somebody else's income is necessarily going to fall, which means they're going to start spending less, which means somebody else's income necessarily falls, and so on and so forth. And what this does, it reduces aggregate demand in the economy, which then reduces total output because there's no demand and businesses aren't producing stuff, and businesses will start to close, and it will lose output in the economy. And that actually ends up lowering total savings. And because of that, I think the government does have some role in the economy to try to stabilize effective demand by essentially printing more money.
Oh, the
and
greatest
giving it
outcome.
to people. Right.
Is there any economies like today that strongly use that?
I mean, every economy is Keynesian to
Some degree, like how America like socializes
to
their
some
like
degree,
farms
yeah.
to stabilize demand. I
So
gotcha.
the U.S. is definitely more Keynesian than most like European economies. European economies, like especially like the U.K., when they had the 2008 financial crisis, they instituted their austerity measures where they started cutting government spending, cutting government programs. And if you look at how well that's turned out for the UK, and actually most of the EU, their economies have totally stagnated. Versus in the US, we bailed out the banks, we did trillions of dollars in quantitative easing, we gave everybody a lot of free money. And in 2008, we had a little dip, but 2-3 years later, we started going right back up and continued with strong growth. So like every economy has a central bank, and every economy tries to stabilize demand to some extent. But we're definitely one of the most Keynesian economies.
Okay, got that one. Okay, and then I don't know. This probably was just because I had this question. I think I told you this. I watched your debate with Minar about philosophy. That one was an interesting one. But you guys kept, I don't know if it was because you guys were getting heated, but you guys kept flip-flopping objective and subjective multiple times where one of you would use it in a different context than the previous person. Like you guys just kept switching. So I need to know, what is your view? Do you think morality is subjective or objective?
I would subscribe pretty closely to the view, you've probably heard of this, that like Sam Harris espouses in The Moral Landscape. So I think when it comes to morality, the only thing that we can reasonably value is the well-being of conscious creatures. And it doesn't make sense to value anything else. And because of that, we can have some objective morality, as long as you accept that value. When it comes to deciding whether like that value is objective, that gets a little more complicated, obviously. But I think what matters is that we can establish what I would call like an objective moral framework. In the same way that we can sort of establish like an objective framework of like physics. In order to do physics, you have to accept some values of like logical consistency and evidence. You know, you have to value evidence and you have to value logical consistency. If somebody walked in and said, "I have a great physical theory of the world, but none of it is observable, and I'm gonna say some things that I'm then gonna say the opposite of 2 sentences later, because I don't value logical evidence, and I don't logical consistency and evidence." I think it's sort of hard to say they're wrong for not valuing that, right? But we would not take them seriously. So in the same way, I think if someone sort of walked into a room and said, "Well, I don't value the well-being of conscious creatures. I kind of want them to suffer more." I think it's sort of hard to say they're outright wrong, but I don't think we should take them seriously. I just don't think there's any definition of morality that doesn't have to do with the well-being of conscious creatures.
What do you say then if someone, instead of, because I know with that argument, obviously that directly ties to like your abortion argument of consciousness is whenever we should, protect it. How do you view it then if they, instead of like consciousness, they say like human life, right? They view it as we need to protect things that happen before, consciousness that are human or that will be human, right? Do you view that as like we take that one unseriously? Like, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I basically think the only thing that we can reasonably, like what separates moral objects from moral subjects, the only thing that we can reasonably look at is some type of consciousness or sentience, right? So a rock can't suffer, a zygote can't suffer, and for that reason, there's no reason to really value morally to count as a moral subject a zygote or a rock, because they don't have the capacity to suffer in any way. They don't have preferences. Yeah, and then whenever human life is brought up, you probably do this too. You can bring up like, "Oh well, if I take my grandpa off life support, is that murder? Do you think that we shouldn't be able to do that?" Yeah.
Yeah, I always do the I know there's a name for this question, but it's the question where you're like, if I chop off my arm, am I still me? If I chop off my leg, am I still me?
Yeah.
If I chop off my head, am I still me? If I remove my brain, right? Everyone determines at brain you're no longer yourself, because intrinsically people just believe that, consciousness is probably what people value normally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's gonna. I said this to you before. I think I DM'd you this. It's gonna be very hard to find something we disagree on. I feel like I think we come from like the same like ideological background. I think we can find something if we took like a 100-question quiz. But right now it's not looking good. Okay, if you wanted
Listen,
to,
I love it. I love circle jerking
it's a circle
so
jerk.
much.
Yeah, if you wanted like a combative podcast, listen. My name isn't Manar, but listen, I'll try. Okay, I can. Yeah, no, I try to get into philosophy. It's just so not like it's not interesting. It's just so brain numbing, right? It's so many questions that I feel like aren't realistic. But obviously, like that's kind of the point, right? To test your morality. So like, if I had that conversation with somebody, they'd be like, "Well, let's say a person doesn't have the capacity to suffer. Do they still have those values ascribed onto them?" And then you're gonna say that. And you're gonna be like, "Well, it's because they have this value." And it's like, what if they don't have that value? It's like, well, they have this value. What if they don't have this value? And you're like just taking away every part of a person until it's no longer
Yeah.
a person. It's like It's just for me personally. Okay, this is gonna come off as a hot take. I don't see the value in a lot of it. Okay, but I am definitely wrong, and I know that. I just personally can't see the value, and I know you're a very big philosophy person, so don't hate me because I just said that. But yeah,
I mean, there's definitely diminishing marginal utility when it comes to philosophy. So, I mean, you study kind of the big things like the logical fallacies, you do like some basic reading on like morality. But like after that, you do start running into like some absurd examples, and it's just like it's just not useful. Yeah, I think like the easiest way to like think of it is in terms of morality. It's like if I were to walk up to you on the street, and I had two options that were, we'll say, equally pleasurable to me. I could either give you $100 or punch you in the face. Can we say that within this framework we've just like constructed that it is more moral for me to give you $100 than it is to punch you in the face? And I think that's really like those type of questions are really the only useful ones. And again, I mean, you can do it. You can start stripping
I'm
away.
gonna
Well,
strip
what
it.
if
I
you
got a
didn't have
question
the
for you.
capacity to suffer? Oh, okay.
I had an interesting thought experiment that I also thought about whenever I heard a conversation like this, and it was okay. So the only reason I feel like a lot of that though comes from like our cultural view on like harm and stuff, right? So like let's say it's me and you, we're thrown into a bunker with 100 other people, and those 100 other people think it is culturally, morally, and legally okay to walk up this and punch someone in the face, right? Then if we all leave the bunker after a nuke and everyone's gone, okay, we come out, the cultural norm is going to be that punching someone in the face is the better option because we're just outnumbered and there is like no moral fact to stand behind there that you can point to.
Well, I mean, again, I would say, regardless of what their cultural norm is, the only thing that we could value when it comes to morality is well-being. So it could be the case that like we have a society where their well-being is increased by adhering to their cultural norm of punching people in the face. Um, but as soon as you start bringing like other people into it, I think obviously our well-being would be decreased if they started punching us in the face a lot.
Right now, we're
So
just describing New York, by the way.
this yeah.
Have you seen that? People walking around just punching people in the face? Obviously, it's probably like a lot of fear mongering, but that's crazy.
Well, it's because of the Democrat cities,
Of
and the
course, yeah.
fentanyl and the
All
illegal
the
immigrants.
illegal
Yeah.
immigrants, yeah, yeah, of course, of course. I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't fully formed a strong opinion on immigration just because I haven't. Again, it's one of those things where I actually am interested in this. I just haven't felt like I've fleshed out enough ideas and run down enough like lines of thought to see like my personal opinion. Do you have like a strong opinion on this, or are you also just like
When it comes to immigration in general, ignoring like all the issues we're facing right now with the open border and fentanyl, I think immigration in general is pretty good, because I like economics, and immigrants basically increases in human capital, shift the production possibilities frontier curve right. Literally, just more people equals we can make more stuff. And they probably increase the well-being of everyone when they do that. So one of the things that we can measure is something called the price elasticity of the population. Um, all that matters really, all that matters is a bunch of economic jargon behind it. Is we can look at how many people immigrated into a country or how much the world population increases, and then compare compare the how prices were affected by that, how time prices were affected by that. So if we look at that, what we find basically is as the world population increases, time prices begin to fall. So that's pretty strong evidence of the fact that immigrants aren't really harmful. They don't drain resources. They in fact provide more resources. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like this has been like it's interesting that this is like the biggest issue in the election. Like you think it would be like the economy, you think it would be like what's going on in Israel, you think that would have some swing in it, which it does to like progressives and people that are third party, so it doesn't matter. But it's just like it feels like I'm very what's it called, nihilistic when it comes to politics nowadays. It's just
Yeah.
so down the drain. It's so Jover, man. It's
Hey,
Um,
listen, I'm hoping to go to college and somewhere in the EU. I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to get out of
I've
this
looked
politics
into.
hellhole, man.
I was going to honestly. I looked into like abroad programs, and then I found out that gingers are like actually discriminated against over there pretty heavily. So I was like, well, what about Tokyo? I love Tokyo. It's the most expensive abroad program in the world. And then I looked into that, and it's like they're just bad against everyone. So can't go there. So I was like, well, I don't know where I'm gonna go. But yeah, I want to get out. I agree. It's the let me out era. I'd go to
Yeah.
Canada just because it might be a little bit better, but it's getting bad over there too with the whole you can now the free speech thing where now you can get sued by someone for what you said
Oh,
and they
yep.
don't even have to know who did it. But to completely spiral into another topic, I did take my ADHD medicine today, but I'm still gonna spiral. Do you think that Israel is an apartheid? I want to get your opinion on this before I discuss this with someone else. Because I've seen your notes. I know you've got some
Okay.
fleshed out ideas as well.
Okay. The connotation that people get when you say apartheid is basically Israel is doing a racism because Israel wants to be racist and hates Palestinians. That's just not the reality of what's happening in Israel. We can talk about some things like, hey, this person in the West Bank was arrested for 20 years for throwing a stone. Do you think that's fair? There are some questions like that which are fine. But the connotation that people get from apartheid is, again, extremely negative and suggests that like Israel is being racist with the intention of being racist, and it's a top-down policy, and Palestinians are discriminated against based on race. The reality of what's happening is because Israel occupies the West Bank, Palestinians are given different rights based on citizenship. If you and I renounced our U.S. citizenship and moved to the West Bank, we would be treated legally the same way as Palestinians there are. It's not race-based. It's based on citizenship in a military occupied place. In Israel, definitely has legitimate security concerns when it comes to terrorists in the West Bank and in Gaza and from Lebanon. Um, so I like it's hard because I don't want to. If I'm like defending a position, Israel isn't apartheid. People think what I'm saying is I
Israel's
love Israel
acting
so
good.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, Israel's acting good. It's like your connotation should match your denotation. Is really only my point is. So it's really what my point is. It just the connotation people get from apartheid is again Israel's doing a racism. And like one of the questions I like to ask is like, well, why are people in the West Bank under less restrictions than people in Gaza? You know, if Israel hates Palestinians, you would think that they would treat the people in Gaza and the West Bank about equally bad. But they don't. The people in Gaza are treated worse because there's more terrorism that comes from Gaza. And I think that does a good job in like revealing the intentions behind it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the biggest point that I've noticed is like you can never convince me that there isn't an actual like security risk behind what they're doing. Like it's again like Occam's razor, right? Like if the simpler option is that they're doing it for their own safety, I feel like there is a big burden of proof there that you have to show that there's like some intentionality there behind it, and it's like I just don't see it. Like with the bombings, I think I don't know if we're still at it because it's been a while, but it was Israel was at like one bomb per. It was like less than one civilian death per bomb dropped at one point.
Wow.
Like and it was like if they really wanted to like actually what was there's I understand with like the political view obviously they can't nuke the Gaza Strip, right? But if they were going to go in and actually have the intention of murdering Palestinians, there would be a ground invasion that would have already happened after October 7th when they had the moral authority to easily do so, right? If they
Yeah.
did that after October 7th, no one would fight that. And then it's just also yeah, I feel like the biggest thing is like you can never convince me of that. You can never convince me that they just hate them and that after the October 7th and after every Nakba, after the first and the second era, like after everything, right? I feel like there is a easily justified response of they need security, and then also you could also get into the this is like a way more semantical argument, but you can also get into the like, well, it's technically not like their people, right? It's occupied territory, so the laws under that are different,
Yeah.
right? So I feel like that's another one. And then yeah, I think you mentioned it's actually in my notes and my blockade notes where it's like, why does this area have it in this area? Like, why is it less restricted in the area that isn't throwing a million bombs at them and isn't run by extreme like Hamas, right? And it's just and then I also looked into a lot of stuff with this. It's you can't come after. I know this conversation, this debate. I'm gonna predict it right now, so I'm gonna clip this when this happens. I know me and Minar are gonna go into like very niche topics that don't even matter because he done this debate before with someone I hosted it, and they at one point were arguing, is Hamas a terrorist organization? Because Minar started that argument because obviously he should, right? It's a good argument to start. There's no definition of terrorism. It can make you look at least a little more informed than you are,
Yeah.
but it's like if you're gonna come at Israel for everything they're doing, and you think Hamas is acting in the right when they're wearing civilian clothing, they're shooting out of civilian zones. Like, well, what do you think about Israel bombing a hospital, which didn't even it's a parking lot and it wasn't even okay. Anyways, jihadist terror organization is the leading theory. It's still not confirmed. Anyway, it's like why were they shooting there? Why was there bombs? Why did we see at the what was the name of the hospital where they did interrogations? Do you know what I'm thinking of?
Shifa or the
Yeah, I think it was that one. Why were they doing interrogations at a civilian hospital that they need, right? Like, if they really, their entire goal is to operate out of civilians. Their entire goal is to have that second of hesitation where they can get more casualties done. But when Hamas goes out and attacks, they're not gonna wait and be like, "Is this a civilian? Is this an IDF soldier? Wait, guys, we don't know." Like, they're not doing that like hesitation. So it's just, yeah, no. What's the term? The legal term is it perfidy?
perfidy? Yeah.
Yeah, that one. It's just anything you're gonna say about Israel. Hamas has done 10 times worth with the intention of actually doing it, right? Like, oh my god,
Sure.
who was it? Yeah, not everything, obviously, but it was another. I'm obsessed. Minar lives rent free in my head apparently. This podcast, but he was talking about how when people landed in October 7th at the festival, that it was crossfire. And that it wasn't actually targeting civilians, which is like it's the basic line that everyone uses, but
Yeah.
it's so interesting. That was
I
always.
think the only good response to that, I've never actually heard a pro-Palestinian person I've talked to make it. This is only something like I've said to other people, is that because we're a democracy and Israel's a democracy, and we are supporting Israel, it does make more sense to focus on the crimes that Israel may be committing because it is within our power to try to change those. We can condition aid to Israel. The people in Israel could vote differently because we're both free societies. But I've never actually heard someone make that defense. That's only a defense I've made steel manning other people.
I know, but couldn't you just reverse that? Shouldn't it be the opposite then? If that side can change with our interaction, right? Like, we don't have to go in and fight Israel for us to change their, like, decisions. Shouldn't we focus on the one that we do have to, like, fight to change? Shouldn't we be focusing our attention on the one that we can't influence as America, right? If our goal is to be the, like, protector of the free world as we are at this point, right? I feel like if our goal is to do that, I feel like we have to focus on the states that we can't influence because are the occupied territories. Someone's gonna come at me since it's its state. But I feel like it's way more in our interest to influence. Like you could just reverse it, right? I feel like that's the way I would counter that.
I mean, kind of, but I guess the argument would be like it's obviously easier to influence Israel because we're aiding Israel, and we could, for instance, condition the aid that we're giving to Israel. Whereas Hamas, we can't more directly control Hamas because we're not really aiding Hamas. Yeah.
Oh, I never. What's your opinion on Ukraine and Russia? I assume I can guess it off the top of my head, but just
What would you guess?
I would assume you're pretty defensive of Ukraine not losing Kiev to Russia for no reason.
I am pretty defensive of
Oh
Ukraine.
yeah, God,
I
they were
love
both
giving
libtards. So no.
yeah, I love giving all of my tax money to Ukraine. If I could choose where my taxes go,
You pay
Ukraine would
taxes?
be one of the number one things. Yeah, I'm very much pro giving all of our military equipment to Ukraine.
Give it all. Listen, Medicare gone. Okay, give it all. Post services gone. Isn't that all that is? Put the postman in an armory suit and throw him there. He'll get that shit settled. Okay. No. Yeah, no. I want to see your opinion on this. I made a video on this. It was a really bad video because a lot of audio corrupted, but it's fine. Where I was talking about how I feel like the biggest problem coming from the left, it definitely happens on both sides, but I see it with the left more. And I made this hypothetical. I called it the killer clown hypothetical. There's probably an actual hypothetical for this that is phrased way better. But my killer clown hypothetical was, let's say a conservative watches Fox News every day, and he starts seeing news report after news report after news report that clowns are just killing people. Every single clown is a murderer, headline after headline. And then he's going to go out, he's going to be like, guys, clowns are murdering people. He's got a soapbox, he's at the park, he's with the microphone. He's like, clowns, every clown is a murderer. All clowns are bad, blah, 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 right? And then someone will come up and be like, you're wrong, man. What is wrong with you? Like, he's going to be like, this guy's crazy. You're wrong. And then the clown killer preacher will go, Do you really think that not a single clown has killed someone ever? And then time after time, I'll see people get baited into that argument. It's like you're making your side look horrible when you're like, no, let's talk about that. Obviously, no. And it's like, I've seen that thought tree. I know there's probably a way better hypothetical, but it's like taking the bait. Like they bait you in with a very, very, very unattainable extreme position. And then when they want to debate you, they'll switch to a more normal position that's actually pretty justifiable.
Yeah, that's definitely something that that happens a lot, which is annoying. Yeah, people do that a lot, like with Israel and like genocide. Well, let's say, well, the fact that we're even having a conversation about whether or not it's genocide shows that Israel is doing something bad. So can't you just say Israel is doing something bad?
I hate that
it's
so
like,
much.
yeah, it's like you're the one claiming that it's genocide, and now I challenge you on it, and you're just not willing to have a conversation on it.
It's like if I say you're genocidal, someone saying you're genocidal, doesn't that mean you're kind of doing something bad? Like it's the same argument. Or like when the ICJ said that it is plausible that the crime of this could be plausibly done. Like it was so like 3 levels back, and everyone was like, "This is proof. We have proof. We got him, boys." It's like, no, did you reread it? They didn't even call for a ceasefire. Like if they really thought this was genocide, they would have called for a ceasefire. Didn't a resolution pass recently about calling for a ceasefire, and we still haven't had one?
Yeah, there was the like UN resolution
yeah.
It was a Security Council resolution. I forget exactly the terms of it, but I think like it also called for the release of hostages, and it was like a temporary ceasefire. So it was like it was a tame lib-cucked version of the ceasefire.
I have another hot take. I don't know how you'll feel on this, but I feel like when it comes to like the UN and like international laws, a lot of them just no one follows them. It's so interesting to see. Like the law of you can never take land by force or by war. If Russia took Kiev tomorrow, the UN is not going to storm in there and fight. They can't, right? Like politically, economically, the world, they just can't do it. They would cause way too many problems. They would let Russia have Kiev. And
it's annoying. There are like specific cases where like some stuff has happened, like in Iraq, when Iraq invaded Kuwait in the 90s. I think the UN did some stuff there. I think when the Libya civil war was happening, the UN passed a resolution like authorizing NATO to establish a no-fly zone over Libya. So there are like sometimes I think it helps. Like I think it helps at the very least to like sort of have like a set of rules that it sort of like looks good to follow. Even if the UN is a lot of times powerless to actually like enforce them, I think like democratic states especially sort of want to follow those rules because otherwise it looks bad when you're breaking international law. But yeah, unfortunately, as much as I would love my globalized world government, one world government,
who would it be run by?
Joe Biden, obviously, or Hunter Biden when Joe Biden passes.
Hunter, yes, sir.
Now get the one with the Biden dynasty.
Anyway, what were you saying?
It'd be run by the Biden dynasty.
Of course, the Lord and Savior.
But
greatest president of all time, honestly.
Like, I think we'd probably both agree. The world probably would be a better place if, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the UN sent forces, and it was a coalition force of like half of the world to try to defend Ukraine. Like, if that is a thing that could happen, probably would have been good.
There's like the 50-50. Either there's 2 outcomes of that. There's like Russia backs off because they know that like they're gonna get beat if they try to do that, or Russia's like, fuck it, we're throwing everything out. BRICS versus fucking NATO. Like, let's see what goes down. I feel like that's like there's always that really scary option of like them going nuclear.
To clarify, I mean, it'd probably be a better world if the UN was somehow able to establish basically a monopoly on violence, which I don't think is really that feasible, but I would love it. But that's my dream world. UN with a monopoly on violence run by the Biden dynasty.
It sounds a little 1984-esque. I'm not gonna lie to you. That sounds a little. The thought is, what's that? War is peace, freedom is wrong.
Yeah.
Why is your follow notification a man twerking?
Of course, it's a man twerking. Duh.
Okay,
yeah.
I
It's a holdover from like my gaming days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that
but then Israel-Palestine start. Yeah, my Israel-Palestine stuff started kind of being a lot more popular, so I started doing that.
Of course, you gotta rage bait them. Okay, you gotta tell them that you're an Israeli citizen and all of that.
I am, and I'm paid by the Mossad. That follower, by the way, just sent a message in chat. Oh, you might be in chat. This might be an interesting thing to discuss. What do you think of what do you think about the rise of the far right across Europe in the past years?
You want to start or you want me to?
You start if you have
Okay.
anything to say.
I feel like a lot of it comes from the same thing we're experiencing now in America, where like in the most red pillish, if I had to have the most red pill viewish view on society, I would think that a lot of the problems of today are being done by like immigration, right? That's like the red pill way to view the world right now. Every single problem, fentanyl like abuse, all the drug overdoses, crime, all of this directly pinpoints to immigration, right? And I feel like we're seeing that become like the common view. I don't know if it's because of like the media signaling it out, but I feel like that is a problem where it's just media bias. I feel like when there's something important to point out and it gets you views, you're gonna keep pointing it out. People are gonna keep seeing it. People are gonna stress it out. Who was it? It was Matt Walsh. I have ADHD, so if you notice I spiral, just go with it, okay? But it was
Oh, I
Matt
do
Walsh.
too.
Okay,
Yeah,
it was Matt Walsh on the Joe Rogan show, and he was talking about like trans kids, and Joe Rogan asked him how many trans kids there are in the world, or sorry, in America, and he was like off by like a factor of like 10. It was
yeah,
crazy. It was like
yeah. It's
it
wild.
it just shows how I think that there's just way much views. But if I had to like think about like how this ends, I feel like I don't think it'll ever just be like the world will just be far right. I don't think it's possible. I think it's just the world works in like waves. It's very obvious when you like look at
Yeah.
some things. The Republicans have been saying the red wave's gonna happen anytime now. We're still waiting. I don't know about you, but I haven't been done yet. But my dream of the world is a liberal world where every man is in a maid outfit and they get fed their what is it called, CRT at lunchtime every day. That's
Yeah.
that's what we want, right? That's what you want too,
With the
right?
soy milk. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we can't drink. If we gotta drink like almond, we
Yeah.
can't. We can't drink actual milk. Our liberal brains would explode.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't. It's definitely a bad thing. I don't know if I have too much to say on it other than it's bad. I don't like it, and I would agree. Yeah, most of it's because of fucking stupid fear mongering. Yeah. I do. I did see. I remember Poland had its elections. I think Poland for the first time had um, like a liberal coalition for the first time in a while,
Didn't Argentina just get a
and that was
libertarian as well?
Argentina did just get its
Yeah. So
libertarian
I feel like you
president.
can see it
Yeah.
on both sides.
Yeah. In Greece, I don't remember exactly what happened in Greece, but I saw Greece did just legalize gay marriage not that long ago, which is pretty big. Um, yeah. You have any El Greece? Yeah, thanks, Carter.
What are we still talking about Greece?
Well, someone in chat just said El
I'm
Greece.
gonna pull the
This
chat.
gay person in my chat, he is gay. Repeatedly is homophobic in my chat, and I have to explain it to people
Uh,
because I have to out him every time he does it. Because I have to say, to be clear, we're not homophobic here. It's just this. It's just Carter being gay.
oh, of course. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Carter, yeah, definitely gay. By the name, you can just tell. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah,
Exactly.
fuck 'em.
Yeah.
I got a thought
Yeah.
tree with you. Yeah, no, that's easily that makes a lot of sense. Okay, what did they say? Is that actually true that the person who won in Italy is related to Mussolini?
Oh yeah, they're like Mussolini's granddaughter. It's
That is
wild. Yeah.
okay. I'm about to sound crazy, but that's kind of tech. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's kind of listen. Obviously, but I don't agree with the policies, but that's kind of cool. Okay, as long as
I
Mustache
mean,
Man
it
doesn't
would
get into
be.
office, we're okay.
It would definitely be like if they were a liberal. I think I'd find that pretty cool because I'd be like, I mean, that's kind of awesome though. Um, yeah, but because they share there's the same ideology.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any more questions for me, man?
Oh, we can. Let me pull the Notion. What do you use for notes? Do you use Notion, or you use
I use
Obsidian?
Notion. Yeah.
Notion and Notion's such a W app. Okay. Anyway, I feel like another thing I wanted to mention is I feel like we didn't get into this. I have a few more. Listen, I know it's spiraling, but I got a few more philosophy questions. Okay, I gotta ask
Oh,
you.
okay. Oh boy.
'Cause- no, I was gonna say it's just actually a really simple question. How much do you feel like more like philosophy should influence like laws, right? Like, do you think it should be a complete separation? Do you feel like it should be in there some like area? Like, what do you feel about that?
I feel like basically every law should at some point be able to be grounded out into like some some moral philosophy. I think laws are basically sort of like second order beliefs that have to be justified with more and more, like more first order beliefs, and eventually you have to say, well, this law would be good because it increases the well-being of conscious creatures. I think at some point, laws should be reducible to that, to like increasing well-being. Yeah.
Okay, I'm pulling up a list of the biggest problems in political discussions, and I'm gonna find something we disagree on before I'm done here.
Oh, okay. Oh boy.
What's your view on the Second Amendment? Let's start off there.
I haven't. I mean, I have the lib cucked position, so I'm in favor of more like common sense gun regulations. So, for instance, like I've seen like waiting periods seem to be effective. So, like a 2-week waiting period, universal background checks seem to be pretty effective. Yeah, stuff like that. But I'm not in favor of like I'm not in favor of like a federal assault rifles ban or anything. If a state wanted to do that, I'm not sure I'd be too upset. Maybe if a state wanted to do it, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I stand on that.
Yeah, I've always been like Australia. I feel like is a really good example. Okay, so fuck. Next one, death penalty. What do you think?
I don't believe in free will, so I'm never gonna believe in something like the death penalty, right? Yeah.
Okay, LGBTQ issues. Go. I'm fine.
I can't imagine what we disagree on there. I think I'm pro gay marriage. I'm pro trans rights. Everybody. Yeah.
Do you think there is some intrinsic nature the way racial and ethnic minorities are treated by the criminal justice system in America?
Intrinsic nature?
Like systematic racism. Do you think that's
I think there is systematic racism. I don't really like the word intrinsic there, but yeah, I would say there probably is some level of systematic racism. We can look at like the Veil of Darkness study, which is like 100 million traffic stops. Showed like black people are way more likely to be pulled over in a day. We can look at, I live in North Carolina. There was a study down here.
So do I. I'm gonna DM you. I'm gonna DM you a city, okay? I want you to know. I need you to respond to this city and tell me how far. Make sure you're streaming. Don't dox me, please. Okay? I just want.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was out of nowhere.
But I fuck. What was I saying? Oh, there was a study done here, basically, that led to like that showed black people were more likely to be pulled over than white people, but were actually less likely to have contraband in their car than white people. So there's obviously some level of systemic racism present in policing. And then when it comes to like wealth, I think black families are like, what, 13 times less wealthy than the average white family. So it's probably something that needs to be done to address that.
And then, okay, I'm stealing from chat. Okay, do you support free healthcare?
Some form of it, yeah. Basically, I think at minimum we should have a public option where the government basically owns an insurance company.
So like what Medicaid is now, but for like everyone.
Basically, yeah. Oh. And I think there are some concerns like what the UK does seems a little cringe. Like what the government completely owns all healthcare.
Yeah, monopolized it.
Yeah. But I think the government should basically own an insurance company. I think there's a lot of like economic justification for that. I don't want to get too far into it, but Unlearning Economics has a good video on it.
Can I yell at someone in your chat real quick?
Yeah, you can yell
okay.
at me.
Hey, Cottonmouth. Hey, free healthcare just means you don't have to pay for it directly. Of course, you don't pay for any government institutions. They come out of your fucking taxes, okay? Everyone knows that, okay? That's common sense. Anyway, sorry. Okay, next question. Do you believe that... What the fuck? Okay, I'm just gonna respond to this one. You tell me how you feel about this. How the fuck do 5-year-olds get to choose if they want to be a man or woman, but I can't choose my slushy flavor at school lunch? The fact that you choose a slushy flavor at school lunch means you're probably 7. But I think that for me, I haven't set on a direct age, but I think around like before puberty, I'm okay with children having access to like puberty blockers, but I'm not for any actual surgeries until like they're rightfully to make a decision. Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think puberty blockers for children are pretty cool. And I sort of hate this like whole notion of I hate the notion of like choosing, right? I don't think trans people really they don't choose to be
that's like
trans.
Saying people choose to be gay. It's like, yeah, hey, how did conversion therapy work again? Can you guys remind me? I don't.
Yeah. So yeah, I think more or less you're sort of born with your gender identity in your brain, and kind of more or less.
No,
Oh shit,
someone
why,
ruined my
Carter? Why
entire
do you
thing.
have permission to join this? Oh no, I
You
heard
ruined
he's a
my,
Arguably,
you
mod.
ruined my scene. You ruined it.
arguably, gay people do get to choose. I'm gay, so I get to say this. Um, by the way, and they should choose not to, because the Catholic God says that it's a test.
Okay,
You
thanks,
just have
Carter.
to pass. You just have to pass a test.
Thanks, man.
Hey, Carter, I'm gonna
Um,
disconnect you now.
Yeah, we
no,
need.
no, no, no,
You're
dude.
messing
No,
up
no,
our
no, no,
OBS setups, man.
no, no, no.
You
I'll
did
turn
mess up my
my
OBS
camera
setup.
on. I'll
You're
turn my
messing up
camera
mine
on.
too. It does.
No,
We
that
would have to
doesn't.
do so much work. Yeah,
He's
there'd be
God.
so much
Okay,
work
he's
have to be
God.
done.
He's God. Ignore him.
I'd have to
Ignore
move
him.
my
God,
entire
why did I
frames
mod
around.
him? Oh no.
Okay. Taxes ain't free. Get God. Okay, man. I'm sorry. Did I say once that taxes are free? Actually, I did. You're right. I think that taxes are free. Yep, that's
They're
that.
free. Yeah.
You're right, man. Hey, man, you got me. Put that in the.
I think they are free. Ever heard of MMT? They are free. It's free.
Yeah, it's only free if you're Amazon. But Okay, imagine. Okay. Fuck, I got off track. God damn it. We were so close. Oh, okay. COVID opinion. Go. We're disagreeing on something. Come on.
My opinion on COVID. I don't. It was a pandemic. It was bad. I think the vaccine mandates were probably a good thing. I think the vaccines were mostly safe, and the risk of myocarditis or whatever was fucking lower than it would is if you just had COVID. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well,
I don't know what to tell you there.
I've gone down 2 lists. Got chat. I need your help. Okay, guys. W opinion about COVID. Okay, God. No, we already know about that one. Hell doesn't exist. Already know about that one. Fuck. Okay. Are taxes free? Go right now. Go. 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 Go.
Are taxes free? Okay.
They are if you support the IDF.
No,
Oh.
but
I mean, no.
there is a theory, okay, called modern monetary theory. Basically, the simplest way of imagining this theory is a thought we've all thought before. If the government can print money, why do I pay taxes? And this is a like legitimate theory that like you can dive into, and there's whole books written on it. Called modern monetary theory. The argument is most basically just governments don't actually have to be solvent. They could just print money, and we just sort of like pretending that they can't.
What about like inflation? The easy like Venezuela response.
Yeah, right. So obviously, one of the risks with this is that there would be hyperinflation.
Shout out the ruble.
And sort of the argument against that is just kind of, well, it would probably be bad if like all the members of Congress right now could just infinitely print money, but there's got to be some system or some like society. Like if society was like educated in such a way where everyone had a perfect understanding of economics and they knew that if we printed this amount of money, there would be this much inflation, then we could actually weigh the decisions of like, is this amount of inflation worth it for funding healthcare or something? Yeah.
The real
That's my
question
view
is,
of MMT.
should we add chess in a subject? Should chess be a subject in school? I'm going to be very opinionated about this because I used to run a podcast called Chess for Thought. So I'm just warning you right now.
I mean, I feel like it should be optional. Like it should be it
Like
should
an
be like
after
if you
school?
want to take chess or music or
That's a
yeah,
hot
like
take, man.
that's a hot take. I mean, I feel like I don't know. I feel like chess is probably good for the mind. I'm not good at chess or anything,
I
but
play a lot of chess.
I
I'm a
think-
big
yeah.
fan. Yeah, studies like
And
with
also-
dementia are amazing.
yeah, and then also like I just graduated high school like a few months ago, and people would just play chess on their Chromebooks all the time instead of doing work. So maybe if they actually had an opportunity to like play chess in school, they wouldn't be so distracted by chess. You know, like while they're supposed to be doing other schoolwork.
Yeah. By the way, I say I'm pretty good at chess. By the way, my ELO is like 900. I'm not good at all, but I still played a decent amount. It's like my League of Legends career. Okay, I play a lot. I'm just not good.
Oh right. Yeah.
But loser's key. You know, every person I place is being paid by Hamas to make me lose, to try to convince me to you know how it goes in the real world. Okay, fuck. We
Right, I
haven't
know,
found.
yeah.
We gotta. There's gotta be something. Okay, listen. We're not the same person. There's gotta be a single issue in which we are enemies. Okay. And I will
Okay.
find this, and I will actually. No, wait. I already agreed. My most like hot button issue is like Israel and giving kids puberty blockers, and you agreed with me on both those, so we're kind of fucked down this line because every other issue I have is like pretty normal. So we're dealing with. There's a really big
Yeah.
problem right now. I will fuck you up, chest baiter, right now. Okay, no, after we're done with this, I'll run it. Okay. I'm worried that I'm gonna get into the game and see like a 1800 elo. No.
What do you think of free college?
So I feel like after some portion, we have to draw the line somewhere. We can't make like every single government institutionalized free. But I feel like if any government institution was to be free, I feel like college is the easiest first step, even over like Medicare, right? I feel like even with that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like studies show that educated people have better outcomes in life. You know, I feel like that it's very easy to make. You guys are sorry, that dude. He's
Don't pay it. Don't pay
on
it
God.
right now.
I'm doing what I told you I hate when people do. But I feel like a better educated society that has access to that is probably really good. As we see that, isn't it like over someone's lifespan, a person with a college degree versus someone with a like high school degree will make like more than $1 million by the end of their lifetime than the person with a high school diploma. Like, there's a reason that like college just pays for itself. So the fact that you do have to pay for it, I guess I kind of can make sense of it because of how much it gets you, but also it shouldn't be. If that single determinant can change the outcome of your life by so much, why is it that like hard to like? Oh my God, I just moved here from Illinois.
We totally fucking agree on that. God damn it. Yeah, I feel like there's definitely college is definitely too expensive, and even if we don't make it totally free, like it should be easier to go to college. It's kind of absurd that if someone is qualified to go to college, I basically never think like being able to afford it should stop you. Hold on,
Man, there's gotta be something.
YouTube chats right here.
Oh, you restream? You like do multiple?
I have a stream on YouTube, Kick, Twitch,
Kick,
and Instagram.
Oh no, it's so Jover.
I've had like 2 viewers on Kick the entire time I've streamed on Kick. It's not worth it.
But you get to say funny words.
Someone in YouTube chat just says, "Of course, for not telling the vision, you shall soon be in hell on earth, and in the hell you shall be tempted to be branded physically with a barcode called the Omnimark. The Omnimark and all its money shall fail."
A barcode?
So I don't know what prophecy he's. Yeah, barcode.
You get
I don't know what prophecies he's.
You get the hell. They have the Walmart scanner. Put your wrist out. Beep. You're in line 5. Okay, keep going. No, that was just.
I don't know what prophecy he's talking about, but
probably the mark of the beast. Yeah. Everyone says that was COVID and that the rapture was gonna happen during the eclipse.
Oh yeah.
I didn't see Jesus come down. Okay, I'm waiting every day. I'm waiting for the reason to become religious. Okay.
I am. Yeah.
Oh, you will actually know what I'm talking about. There's gonna be a 1 second. Okay, don't leave. I'll cry.
Okay. God, I don't have twerk break set up in my podcast scene, but I would do a twerk break right now.
There is a Republican what's it called? A parade happening in like Raleigh soon, so I'm prepared. Okay.
Oh.
I got that shit ready. I got a cowboy hat, bro. I'm not even from here, but I'm gonna be. I'm locked in. They gonna love me. I'm gonna be one of the good ones.
Are you? I have a feeling we're gonna totally agree on this too. But
oh, no.
Are you voting for Biden?
Obviously, okay. I'll just say that. But I will say, in the beginning, I was like, I should vote for RFK. He seemed pretty oh my God, I saw a TikTok of him benching. He was putting up some stats, okay? I was like, this is sick. I was like, let me look into his policies. Oh, that's the first step of never voting for that man, is looking into his policies. He is Alex Jones if Alex Jones was given a mic, okay? He is a Kennedy, so I do want to vote for him so he gets shot, but I can't. It'd be sad.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah,
there's gotta, man, there's gotta be something. Come on.
Are you? God. I don't know. Let me look at my books.
Got it. No, I got it. Okay.
Okay.
Gay son or thought daughter?
Ooh, probably. As much as I am thought positive, okay, and whore positive, okay, and I love women exploring their sexuality, I'm gonna have to say gay son.
Ooh, you want your friend to be your son, don't you? Gay
yeah,
friend?
exactly.
Of course, yeah, I got you. Fuck. Is there really no? Are we just? were we separated at birth? I think that's the only option. Nah, actually, we don't look alike at all. We have. Hey, listen, I'll dye my. One of us has to dye our hair, and we just have to become the same person. No.
I should dye my hair. I should dye it.
I'm planning to dye my hair blue. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have a
Are you
schedule.
actually?
Listen, I'll do it. Hey, bro, join me, bro. We can make a podcast called the Blue Hair Group instead of the Blue Men Group, bro. Blue Hair
That'd be
Group.
awesome. Yeah. Oh man.
No. I have to decide if I just should I dye this too or should I shave it? It would be funnier if I look so much weirder. Do you have a cat?
I do have a cat.
Are you a cat person or a dog person?
I mean, I like both. I have a cat and a dog.
But
I guess I'm a cat person.
we found it. We found it. Fuck you. You're wrong. Okay. Do you know cats will eat their humans if they die like a day after, and a dog will wait till they're starving? Do you know that?
I don't care.
What?
I mean, like, I'm not a moral subject after I die, so like, who cares?
I need to pause. I need to yell at someone. Is this a liberal stream? Okay, so let's read the title here. Liberalism. Okay, let's see what's on screen. The deep state liberal. Okay, let's see. Let's just. I'm just saying. Is common sense just not? You can't do this to me. You're driving me insane. I can't stream. I will never stream. I record everything because this was what would happen to me. I would end up arguing with someone for 15 minutes. I would pull them in unironically.
Yeah, but then you upload that shit to YouTube and it gets views. Man.
Yeah, I know. It's just so interesting how just disconnected from reality people can be. That's another thing. Oh my god. Did you see when that bridge collapsed and people were like, I had someone actually talk to me about this. They were like,
Yep.
do you know the bridge was named after the person who like made the Star Spangled Banner? And I'm like, that's crazy. And it's like, they took it down to get rid of it. I was like, hey, did you know the name of that bridge before today?
Yeah.
No?
It's
No.
insane.
Well, do you think that doing this would probably put a lot more eyes upon that bridge than if they just left it there? Oh, and there's the whole. Actually, how do you feel about tearing down monuments?
I feel like sometimes it makes sense. I feel like there are probably some monuments that, like, if the monument was like sort of specifically put in place to like glorify like a Confederate soldier, and like it's put in like a public park, it's like that's probably not super great. I don't think people should go down rioting to tear them down. But I really like if a city wants to remove that, like that's probably a good thing. But they're like, yeah, I think it makes more sense to like have those monuments in museums or something.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I would agree with that. Okay, let's see if there's anything that will trigger me in chat. Is this a liberal stream? Fuck liberals. Hey, listen, man. Everyone in chat, fuck some liberals, okay? I'll tell you, that's the route to go, okay? You know they'll get an abortion. Just saying. You know that's already happening. You don't gotta worry about anything. You're rather fucking conservative. Wouldn't want to do that. Dad's gonna shoot me with a shotgun, okay? That's all I gotta say. There just has to be, okay? Because is your light red?
This is this
What
was really hard for Minar to understand.
Was
I like my bisexual lighting, so I have a red light, a blue light, a red light, and a blue light, and together they make purple on my face. Yeah.
Why don't you let an illegal immigrant sleep with you? If they were fine enough, I'd give them housing. Fucking
yeah. Are you kidding me? What? Sorry.
Was January 6th an insurrection?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I don't. I think if anything's
then let me sleep with you. Hey, listen. Okay. Hear me out. If you're a man, no, thank you. If you are a fine man, maybe. But okay. Moving on. Just no commenting on that.
What do you think of that Supreme Court decision that allowed Trump to run?
I think so. When it comes to like everything in that, I have the same view. It's just every single thing he's doing is just to postpone time. He's putting in so many things. He's trying to stop himself at every single instance that he can because he's just trying to buy just enough time to get in that office and pardon himself. Like I think it would be. I think that it's crazy that people are like, he's gonna win because he's innocent and he's gonna beat the cases. If he wins, he's gonna get off, and not because he's innocent, because he's pardoned himself. No one's gonna say Richard Nixon was innocent, right? A pardon doesn't equal innocence. Okay. OJ. Now that's an innocent man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, good. We can agree. So, right, I feel like it's interesting that when people just view that, they think that like if he doesn't get charged, that equals innocence. Because I feel like that's just against the social norm. I hate to kick a dead OJ, but OJ, right?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that.
I
man.
mean, it's a I'm copying Destiny here. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not copying Destiny here, but this is definitely like what he calls an all roads lead to Rome like worldview, where it's like if Trump gets charged, it's all bullshit, it's all fake, and if the indictments stick, well, of course they were gonna stick because the entire system is rigged against him. But if the indictments don't stick and he doesn't get arrested, well, of course he didn't because the charges were all bullshit anyway. It's just like no possible like future could ever prove this worldview wrong.
Yeah, they dig themselves such a deep trench that you're never getting them out, right? Even if he gets it put in jail, it's gonna be the deep state, you know. Okay, 1 second, I have to yell at someone. Hey, legal immigration is great because illegals are ruining the country. Hey, do you know that when we came here, we didn't like stop at Europeans? When Europeans came here, do you know that we didn't like stop at Ellis Island and like check ourselves in, right? You know, this country was actually built by illegal immigrants, right? Like there was no legal immigrant. Yeah, you know that, right? And you know that America was built to be the melting pot of like the world for the longest amount of time. And now we're just like, fuck it, let's turn around, okay? Everyone gone. We're having some problems, okay? It's crazy that people want to say legal immigrants built it. We were not legal. We are not Native American. Maybe you are. Hey, if you are, I apologize, okay? Not Ashlam. I don't know what, I don't know any terms, okay?
Yeah, I don't know what natives.
Yeah, but bro, America wasn't a country. The British conquered a free one had. I can't think of anyone who had territorial claim on that. Hey, are you pro Palestine, by the way? I'm just wondering, dude in chat. How do you feel about Palestine? Do you think that was free land, or I just doing a quick like purity test here? I just want to.
Yeah, a people without land for.
Really, is Mexico and I assume that's nothing about us because I have no idea. Is he talking about the fucking what's it called? Not the starts with a C. Cartel. Thank you. How was America not free land? I'm sorry. I'm going. I'm turning off your chat for this one. Okay?
Ignore chat for a second.
Okay.
One second. How young are you?
19.
You're pretty. 19. Okay, I'm 18.
Spry. You want to see a cool trick?
Yeah, sure. What the hell? Okay, that's not
football.
a very.
I played football and
football.
I took a bad hit. I can do that trick. I just thought that was interesting. They show you how I'm young, but I have fake teeth.
So I'm curious because I'm into politics, and a lot of people my age, or our age, really, like aren't so much. And it's like I try to tell these people about like Joe Biden and Trump, right? And I just want them to vote for Biden so badly, but because they're young and they don't care, they won't do it. And it seems like I can get almost all of them to basically admit that Biden would be like a better president, but they're just like, well, he's old and I don't really know what he did and inflation, so I'm not going to vote for him. Do you you have those same types of experiences?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I'm gonna change my lighting up just to see if I can make it. Oh, that's so much worse, but it's getting there. We go. Okay, so I think it's very interesting that whenever I talk to people who are like so like pro-Trump, they don't know anything about the like actual election fraud case. Every single view of like Trump comes from January 6th, and it's like I can understand that argument. Okay, I don't agree with it, but there's enough. You can make, you know, the negligence, like he had no idea what the fuck he was doing. You can make that case. I don't agree with it. It's retarded, but you can, right? But I feel like when it comes to the election fraud case, it's crazy. The only argument you really can make is his legal team did it all by themselves. He did no influence. The legal team was just like, hey, you know, Trump's a good president. Let's run this shit back. There was no direct interaction between them, which even though, what's his name? Jack Smith? I think Jack Smith has said that he has testimonies and active affidavits that state that Trump did know. He knowingly stated that he lost the election to someone and that he was just... Oh my God, it's so interesting. What do you think about Bernie Sanders? Okay, I'm about to look like a conservative.
Okay. Oh, hey, oh God damn it, we agree on Bernie Sanders too. Okay, go.
No, never mind. Never mind. I thought I finally thought of something. So you're pro-Palestinian? No, I'm sorry, I got baited again. You're pro-Palestinian. So do you think
But America
America
was
had
free
the
land.
right to conquer? Yeah. So did Israel have the right to conquer that free? I mean, there was no territorial claim. Palestine was never a country, right?
That's true.
Native
Yeah,
American America was never a
it was a
country.
British mandate,
Yeah.
and the British let them go there.
Palestine was never mentioned other than like in like rhetorical terms, right? That wasn't never a defined state. I'm just saying, or country, whatever the fuck I need to say, okay? I'm just saying that it's really interesting that you're pro Palestine because you think they have the right to own that land. But when it comes to Native Americans in America, no, they did not.
So do you want to explain what you think about Bernie Sanders to me in a calm way and not
Sorry,
baited by
actually
chat?
I closed your chat. I wouldn't
Well-
lie to you. I just closed your chat. Okay, I'm gonna be better now. Okay, deep breath. Okay.
I need the viewership though.
So yeah, no, I shouldn't. I mean, it's got to be interesting. Listen, if I make them stay, if they're hate watching, it's a view. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that a lot of the problem with Bernie Sanders personally, not personally, but like in politics in general, is that a lot of the things he throws out are just like a statement piece, a public piece, right? They're never gonna actually pass. He doesn't actually put like the elbow grease in
Yeah.
to go to like congressmen and like get people buy votes, right? It's how it works. It's fucked up, but buy votes. He doesn't do that, right? Then he proposed like a 32-hour full-time benefits bill that would have made 32 hours, give you full-time benefits. Anything over that would have been overtime. That bill's never passing. Okay, that's just a PR puff
Yeah.
piece, right? That's just to make him look good, just make him look like the socialist candidate in the country. It's just so interesting that he just doesn't. It's not that he isn't like in good faith doing these things. It's just that he's not in the right time in America to ever have something like that pass. He needs to build up. If he's here, I would say this: in 10 years, if Bernie Sanders was not Joe Biden and old as hell, probably would have a good chance. I actually agree with that. The way because
Yeah.
the alt left is becoming very very big because of TikTok, but you know.
Yeah, we're definitely the thing I don't like about
Big old
the
burn.
like super ultra progressive people is mostly like their economic stuff. So
Well, you don't
I'm
think
a
they
liberal,
deserve the
okay?
right to own the means of production? What's wrong with you?
I love giving money to poor people, okay? The minimum wage is not a super great way to do that. A wealth tax is not a super great way to do that. It's just like it's super annoying because like if I were to ask you, you probably will know this because you're like in this space. You know what a wealth tax is, right?
Are you talking about like taxing the wealthy more, I'd assume?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what a land value tax is?
Where you tax people on the evaluation of their land, I would assume.
But it's wild that like there's so much like discourse about this about like a wealth tax, but not about a land value tax. The reason why people like a land value tax is because it doesn't have any like distortionary effects. So if you tax something, you're going to get less of it basically. It disincentivizes people to do it. And a wealth tax directly disincentivizes investment. It directly disincentivizes accumulating wealth. Whereas a land value tax, if you tax land, there's not going to be less land. So it's a very efficient tax. It's like we have all of this discourse about like a wealth tax, but no one is talking about a more efficient tax that also would probably help reduce inequality and that also would probably help poor people. It's just it incentivizes housing affordability too, because it incentivizes you to use your land more productively, basically. And I just hate that there's so much discourse about like this wealth tax and minimum wage when I think we should all agree like a minimum wage that isn't too high is probably a good thing. But there are more economically efficient ways to get money to poor people, like a negative income tax, which is just where you give people below a certain threshold a certain amount of free money
I was gonna say,
every
I feel
year
like,
on their taxes.
listen, I feel like a minimum wage is kind of like a thing though, because like if you don't, there is always the problem. I bet you probably have an answer. Like I said, I'm not fleshed out in economy, so I would never actually like stand behind these and like full force like fight with these because I could easily be swayed if I
Sure.
ever saw additional information. But then like, how about like if there wasn't a minimum? Like, were you saying I kind of assumed, but I can tell from what you said. Are you against like a minimum wage?
No, I would say I'm pro minimum wage. I think a $15 federal minimum wage is probably fine now.
Yeah, I
But
came from Illinois where it was
it's like-
16.
Yeah, these super progressive candidates are often in favor of like minimum wages that seem to be too high just because it's just annoying again because the minimum wage isn't super efficient because it arguably creates more unemployment. Whereas like a negative income tax will actually increase the labor supply. So you're getting a positive effect on employment, as well as a positive effect on poverty because people have more money. Whereas minimum wage, you're probably getting a positive effect on poverty, but that comes at a cost of a negative effect on employment.
Unemployment. We never hit that one. Opinion. Go.
Okay, this is my real hot take. Okay,
Ooh, we might have found one.
the Fed. Okay, the Fed can eat my fucking ass. Okay, because the Fed has a dual mandate. It's supposed to have a dual mandate, but since 2012, the Fed has an inflation target but doesn't have an unemployment target. So basically, the Fed is kind of incentivized to reach 2% inflation at high cost to unemployment. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't think that makes sense. I think the Fed should probably be weighting unemployment more heavily than it does currently.
Are you for? What I'm saying is like, are you for like giving unemployed people money as well, like that on top of it?
Oh yeah, I like unemployment insurance because it's a automatic stabilizer basically. So automatically, if you are unemployed, you get a certain amount of money every month, and that's an automatic stabilizer because it stabilizes your demand basically. Yeah.
Yep, we agree. uh, hmm. What's the best video game right now? What's your best video game
The best video game right now?
right now, currently? I don't want to hear all time. I don't want to hear Minecraft or Fortnite. Give me the current.
Yeah. Oh, because I would have said Minecraft all time easy. But
WNs.
I can go right now. I don't know. Right now, I just say Helldivers 2. I've
Okay.
just yeah, that's what I've been playing.
I had a really funny idea where I was gonna do like a SMP where we split the world into different groups, and it was gonna be political ideologies. And instead, I came up
Yeah.
with the other idea. Did I text you this idea? I think I invited you, right?
I think the gaming tournament
Yep,
thing. Yeah.
I'm working on that now and because I feel like that's a way better idea that doesn't take like a long time commitment. If I could get enough of people for a
Sure.
long term commitment, I think I'll try to do that because that would be really interesting to see. But I don't
Yeah.
know like how you'd flesh out the ideas. You'd have to put in like like a lot of mechanical mods to make people run places in different
Oh,
ways.
yeah.
That'd be a pretty interesting thing to see. Fuck.
So actually, one thing I want to talk to you about.
Go.
Like, how long have you been doing like YouTube or whatever? And why
Okay.
why'd you start doing it?
Well, everyone wants to be. Isn't that like the actual statistics now? Is like kids. The number one career that kids want is like being a YouTuber. But
Yep.
I'll ask you this. I'm gonna return your question with a question. How many different channels do you have currently in your lifetime? I know, right?
So a lot, but part of that is because I ran like gimmick channels for a bit as a joke. Um, I was gonna do this thing where like I would make a channel and I would make like crappy content, see how many views it got, and then I would make a video about making that channel. It'd be like a fun like documentary thing. So like the first one I did was this channel called Nightcore Maker Lover 69, and I would just make really bad Nightcore songs. Um, I would literally like export the video in like 3 FPS in like 360p, and it was just sped up songs. And it got, I don't remember the exact number of views it got, but it started pulling like decent views before it eventually got terminated. And then like another one I did was called it was called Greasy Sacks.
Okay.
And I would upload like fake drama videos. It would have a video of me playing Roblox in the background, and I would basically just like make up drama. Like Dream released a new song, and like I would just say like Dream stole this song with no evidence at all.
You were Alex
That
Jones.
eventually
Gotcha.
got terminated. Yeah. And then I had another channel up until recently called Loaded Diaper, where I would just post Diary of a Wimpy Kid
I'll just say
edits.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid
Um,
reference. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And that didn't get terminated, but I deleted it because I was worried it would get terminated. But in terms of like real YouTube channels, I think I've had 3. But that a lot of that's just because I've been using this one, NonFon, for so long. I've been doing this since 2017.
Oh,
Not super consistently, but
that's so real.
you never answered my question. How many
Oh, shit.
channels do you have, and when did you start?
Yikes. So I actually did a thing that is really funny to me where I have never deleted a channel, so I can find myself with a squeaker voice playing Minecraft Bed Wars on an Xbox. And
Yeah.
I have a core memory of me playing a game, and I won by building a house in the middle, and I never fought anyone. And so, but that was Spiral, sorry. And I feel like it's just you always go through so many channels, right? Especially, I don't know if you can agree with this, but I have very big problems with hyperfixation, where I will be like, this idea is going
Yeah.
to take me to like I'm going to be famous. Obviously, no one has ever thought
Yeah.
of this, even though this idea has probably been done a million times, right? And I'm like, this is it, found it. Okay, I'm gonna for a month, video after video after video, and then I'll never touch it again. And it's like, well,
Yep.
fuck. Okay. Oh, it's me. That's
Yeah.
fine. All right, there you go, chat. By the way, I saw that in chat. There
That's-
you go. Okay.
Definitely been a problem. For me, it's like I'll think something is going to do super well, and I'll spend a few weeks like fixated on it, and then I upload it, and it doesn't do bad or anything, but it just doesn't do like as well as my magical scenario had envisioned. So like then I just never touch it again. Yeah, but hey, now I'm 7 followers away from Twitch affiliate. Okay, guys, get all your friends, everyone.
How's
Follow me.
not to
please.
pry, but how's the average going? That's the hardest fucking thing to get.
What's funny, I already have the average viewers.
Hey, so we're close. Hey boys, listen, okay.
Yeah.
Why do you not? You
It's-
should be doing advertisements every 10 seconds then. Guys, if you like this stream, guys, go ahead and hit that follow button right now. He will give every single one of you head who follow right now for the next 60 seconds.
I will. I am actually so desperate for these 7 followers because I'm worried if I stream for long enough without these 7 followers, then I'm gonna lose my average 3 viewers.
That's so real.
Yeah. So it's like I need to get these 7 followers quick, man.
I had one stream where I hit 10 and then I never hit above 3 again. It was the weirdest. I took a video. I was so happy.
Yeah.
I was like, I've made it. 10 viewers. I had an average. I was like, holy shit. I'm literally a Twitch streamer. And then my next streams were like 1.2, 1.2, 1.3, 1.2. It was so demoralizing. And I know
Yeah.
actually someone, there's a TikTok creator I really like. His name's Warrior Insights. And he's actually pretty big on TikTok, but he's not doing anything on, that's just was so rude of me to say. He's just proportionally not as big as he is on other platforms. But he took a
Sure.
break because he had to move because he's in a form of government where he goes and fights for our freedom. And he lost like so much of his like people because he left for like a week, and it's such a sad like thing that happens where it's like you can just lose everyone, so you have to stay consistent, and that's so difficult.
Yeah, I'm lucky right now because I told you, I graduated high school a semester early in January. It's not like impressive or anything. Like they just let you take classes earlier
As long
if
as
you
you don't
want
take
to.
study halls, yeah. As long as you just that was how
Yeah.
it worked in my school at least. If you didn't take study hall after you would graduate half a semester early because your credits, yeah.
Yeah, so I did that, and like right now, all I'm doing is this, man. All I'm doing is streaming, and gaming, and gooning. That's all I do.
Which one maxes out
and I'm-
first?
Which one? What?
Which one maxes out first?
What do you mean? Like which?
Sorry.
What do you mean
no,
maxes out?
Let's just keep going. Wait, okay, this is gonna be a random stream question. I'm sorry guys because we're talking about politics. Is gooning where you don't finish? No, that's edging. What's gooning?
No, edging is where you don't finish. Gooning is where you do finish.
Ah, so are you? We gonna disagree right here. You a goon? Do you
Are you
goon or
an
do you
edger or a
edge?
gooner?
Now we get into the
I'm a
real.
gooner, man.
That should
I'm
be
a
asked
gooner.
when Biden and Trump debate. That should be asked.
That should be asked.
Fuck. Well, I feel like we've just been
Yeah.
circle jerking the last like hour and a half.
We have been circle jerking. I love it so much.
Okay. Oh, did you see this? I know you probably don't watch my content. Oh, there's Warrior Insights. Here, this is really funny.
I watched some of it. Yeah.
Did you see the beginning? The only thing that matters about fuck, it's like reversed. Fuck, give me a second. Did you watch the first like minute of this one?
I don't think so.
I
No.
edited the Batman and Bane fighting scene, and I put myself on Batman and Madar on Bane. I just in your free time you should do it. I think it was really funny.
Yeah, I watched a lot of your shorts. Yeah.
I do not post shorts as much as I used to. I did one with this. I talked to this one. He was like a New York Times bestseller. I want to know like everyone is after the fact. If you make a book, you're probably a New York Times bestseller. But that's not the point. He was a very good speaker, but I made a lot with him, and the only one that popped off was the one that mentioned Alex Jones. So
Yeah.
now I'm gonna ride that man to Bohemian Grove. No.
I've been trying to do 3 shorts a day. I've been very inconsistent about it.
Yeah, no, that's.
But I've made myself a schedule, and I'm gonna blow up on TikTok, man. I'm telling you,
Telling
it's
you?
gonna happen. It'll happen, man. Yeah.
My view on this right now is here's my actual plan. I'm young, okay. I had like I don't know if you've had this, but did you have like an external crisis after high school where you're like, fuck, I need to go to college. Fuck, I need to go to college. I'm wasting my life. Why am I not going to college? Did you have something like that? Because I did horribly.
Not that. Not really. Not yet. I should say.
That's
I haven't
not
been
yet.
that
You're gonna
worried
get hit
about
with
it.
it. Oh, okay.
I
Just
think
wait. No.
it will happen eventually, unless the Twitch stream really takes off. But
So my current plan right now is I'm focusing on getting the bag. Not really. I'm working like 30 hours a week right now, and then as soon as summer hits, cutting it off, going into streaming. We're gonna be streaming. I'm gonna be trying to stream it. I'm gonna be recording a lot. I'm gonna be working on a lot of stuff. I have a plan right now to. I have an offer on an office space that I can rent out by the hour. It's like $60 an hour, so it's pretty good, cheaper than almost everywhere else in the area. And it's just a small like. It's used. I won't even lie to you. It's used for like office trainings, right? But they don't care. I talk to them. Okay, so I plan to like. I really want to find people around me that have good. It's really hard though because I just moved here. I have no connections. If you're able to keep up with my ADHD, I am really proud of you because I can tell that I'm spiraling in real time. But I'm trying to find people around me, and it's so difficult because I also don't want to be that dude that just like, hey, what's up, bro? What you think of Trump?
Yeah.
Let me see it. That's not the route you want to go.
you don't want to be a debate, bro. Come
Yeah,
on,
you know what I
man.
mean.
That's
Debate,
how
it's
that's how
debate
you're
pervert.
successful.
Okay, it's debate pervert.
Debate pervert. Yeah.
I am speaking to someone in a day that's a Vosh and Hassan fan. That one should be an interesting conversation. Yeah. I have a rule of thumb where I never try to argue with people in the first time I talk to them, because I feel like it usually want to set a good interaction. Unless they say something crazy, I will usually not push back. So it's funny because you can actually see it here. This video with Warrior was an hour long. My video with Minar went 3 hours and 30 minutes because I was not prepared for him. At one point, the biggest thing, I don't know if you've seen this, he was stating that a woman, he would rather, in his world, have a woman raped than a woman have sex not in marriage. That was an actual statement I got. And that's where I decided, I was like, listen, I know my rule, but I can't just, you know what I mean? I can't co-sign that.
Yeah.
Like,
That's that is oh man, Minar. Oh boy.
fuck.
Yeah, man. Well,
Okay, there's only there's gotta be listen, this isn't like, you know, the odds of like this, there's gotta be one. Okay, important issues facing.
what do you think of a porn ban or restrictions on it?
I think I should be able to beat my schmeat as long as I want to and as much as I want to. Okay, but if you want to give me in reality, I feel like we need to start doing more studies on it. I feel like that is a true thing. We need to be more informed on it. I don't think we should ever get rid of it because there is no way to get rid of it, right? There's VPNs, okay?
Yeah.
You're just gonna go everywhere unless you can get like a worldwide ban on the industry, because you'd have to ban the industry, not the actual product. And there's still gonna be the product out there, so there's gonna be people on Twitter being like, "I got Mia Khalifa from 2018, boys, bro.
Yeah,
join the like." It's like there's no. It's like my view on guns. Okay, my view on guns initially super liberal. Okay, after I just left conservatives, I was super liberal, and I was like, "Hey, we gotta get rid of guns. Okay, get rid of them all. Okay," because I was young, naive, and retarded. Okay. And then I realized, I was like, I think that is a good idea. I think it's a good idea in like the idea of it, but like in the actual use of it, in the fuck, I don't remember the word. I'm dyslexic, so don't, just move on. But like in the practicality of it, or whatever the fuck that word is, okay, it's definitely not
Practical.
Thank you. Yeah, the practical use of it, it's definitely not possible. There's no way you could get Americans to give up their guns legally or illegally. It's the same thing with porn. People are always gonna have access to it, illegally or legally, because if you get rid of the legal access, the illegal access is going to grow. We saw this with the ban on alcohol, which gave rise to the mob, right? Like, there's always going to be that market for it no matter what, because it's just intrinsic in our in America, right? It's part of America. Guns, beer, cherry pie, flag, eagle.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be more research on it, because I don't think there is a very good answer right now for like how bad porn is if you consume it consistently.
Andrew Tate.
And whether or not you can get Andrew Tate. What's
your opinion?
I think he's probably bad. I think he's definitely either he's lying or he's a human trafficker.
Okay.
I think God, it's been so long since I even thought about it.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Okay. Well,
I don't think he's good.
ooh, actually, here's something that you could talk about. How do you so here I'm just gonna tell you my view. I feel like this is way easier. I have a certain view when I think about it. I know that it's bad. It's probably not in the best interest of the people to platform anti-Semitism. But I also feel like with the growing amount of the like population in America that is actually becoming anti-Semitic, I feel like that difficult conversations have to start happening at some point in that topic. Especially like that's how it is with like every issue. I feel like a lot of issues,
Yeah.
if it's a small minority that agrees with it, no reason to bring it up. We don't need to talk about if America should become an ethno state. Okay, we shouldn't. No one, 3% of people think that. But whenever we're seeing that anti-Semitism is on such a rise right now, we probably need to start having some conversations about it, as much as crazy as those conversations are going to be. But if we're going to debate for 3 hours on Hillary Clinton's emails and if Gilgamesh is real and his burial is in Iraq, then we probably could have conversations on other things, I feel like. But how do you... Don't say
I
we
haven't
agree.
thought about it too much, but I mean, like, yeah, you're right.
No,
'cause
no.
like, there's a growing number of people that are becoming anti-Semitic, and like for so long, because anti-Semitism has been so horrible historically, we've just like completely outlawed talking about it like everywhere. Yeah, like you can't say anything anti-Semitic like on Twitch or on YouTube. Kick might allow some stuff, I don't know.
Don't pull a Nick
But
Fuentes.
yeah, like, yeah, and because of that, yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of people who have anti-Semitic beliefs, and like, it just confirms their worldview when they go out and try to talk about it, and everyone's like, no, we absolutely just cannot talk about that.
Yeah, there's someone
So
who said
that's
it.
a really
It's my bad. I apologize.
what you can continue. You
Oh,
can
okay.
continue.
I feel like there was someone who said it, and it's like everyone wants to go to a party where you have to pass a bouncer, right? Like everyone wants to be a part of something that's like has exclusivity. So whenever you make something that's like, oh, they're not allowed to talk about this. If you talk about this, you get like got by the FBI. Like when you create like
Yeah.
stuff like that, you create an actual, not demand, but you know what I mean. Like you create like an actual like enticing part of it where people want to actually go to see like what are they saying? What was the fucking one? How long do you think it would take to bake 4 million cookies if they were all? It's
Yeah,
like
the Cookie Monster. Yeah.
yeah, oh my. But I feel like yeah, it's standing with like another thing I view. This is another weird one. I don't know how you'll feel about this because I'm fully fleshed out of the idea. I'm just throwing out ideas right now to see if there's fucking something we can disagree on. I feel like another thing is like dog whistles are a problem, or it could be a problem. But if you don't like actually actively engage in the conversation around them, I feel like that's a problem. Like whenever the biggest one I know is like 13% make up 50% of crime, right? Like a very big dog whistle for someone being racist is like that, right? But I feel like there's a way better argument to have with them is not you're racist and why do you think that is? Do you really think that black people are just more violent genetically, or do you think there are some cultural things that have happened throughout history that have influenced that?
Yeah.
Like you can make that person look way more deranged instead of fighting them on a well, not a fact because I've probably changed this now, but something that is actually statistically like found.
Yeah, there's always gonna have to be better argument than like just this is a dog whistle, you're racist, or this is a thing parroted by other white supremacists. There always has to be like a more grounded out argument behind that. Yeah.
Do you like League of Legends?
I have never played it. Listen.
Listen.
Okay.
Let me entice you. Okay, let me pitch it to you.
No,
okay?
no, no. Listen.
Let me pitch it. Let me pitch it.
No, no, no. Listen, man. Listen, man. I am already on my computer for 16 hours of the day. Okay. I don't play sports. I don't go to school. I don't do anything, man. I'm a fucking acne-riddled teen who drinks caffeine and sits on my computer all day. I can't start with League. I can't justify it,
Gotta
man.
hear me out. Listen,
That's
hear me
my
out.
only
Hear me
redeeming
out.
quality.
Hear me out. Listen, I would never lead you wrong. We're basically the same, okay? If League works for me, it will work for you. That's how that works, obviously, okay? That's how you know what I mean? You could do it. You could give it. Just dip your toe in the water. Take a little dip. You know, feel if the water's warm. If the water's warm, maybe you can jump in. You know what I mean? Fuck.
You can't do it. That's my only redeeming quality. Okay.
That
Is
you
that I
don't play
don't
League.
play League.
Do you play Valorant?
I have before, but I don't play it that much. I'm upset at the loss of Overwatch, man. I miss Overwatch before.
You see that the
Overwatch
PvE
2.
got canceled?
Yeah, and yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible now.
Ooh, here's a really small flex. That's a very niche flex. Do you know who David Dobrik is?
Yeah.
Do you know who Scotty Sire is? He's part of that group. He's the musician,
no,
the
but
one that was like always depressed.
No,
Fuck.
but
Okay, then my
I
niche.
know vaguely
my
who David
niche,
Dobrik is.
My niche flex does not work on you. God damn it. Okay, he's like a D-list celebrity that's a part of the David Dobrik crew. He's probably not that big at all. Okay, but he's in the group.
But he's
okay?
part. But he knows David Dobrik.
There's a game called Multiverses that was out last year, and I fucked him up in a tournament in it, and it's one of my life crowning achievements. And he paid me $20 afterwards, and that is one of my crowning
Wow.
achievements. Multiverse drops in about I think like 2 months. You got to play that game when it drops. It's amazing. You can play as LeBron
I
James.
played multi. Yeah.
Okay, good. At least you're not too far gone. Do you play any card games? Now this is just a first
No,
day.
not
I hope
really.
you understand this. It's just a first day now. Fuck.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, fuck me. I like card games.
But that's your crowning achievement, bro. You have 23 YouTube subscribers. Come on, man.
That's LeBron. You know what I mean? That's for LeBron. Wait, do you follow any sports?
No, not really.
Do you follow pro wrestling?
I've had teachers try to get me into hockey, but I
that
just
thing
can't do
here?
it.
I've just moved here, so I don't know anything about
Kinda,
the
the
culture. Is North-
Hurricanes.
I had no idea.
North Carolina Hurricanes.
Well, we probably should call it for a close because if we go any longer, it's gonna turn into a porno. But next time when we meet, it will be sponsored by Browsers. Okay, I think we both got that set in stone.
yeah.
And J&J vaccines are going. We're gonna get the J&J on here. We're gonna actually interview a mRNA vaccine itself. We're gonna see its questions. But yeah, I'm gonna head out, man.
Yeah.
Because the longer we stay, the more
Alright.
frustrating it's gonna get.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's been lovely talking to my long lost brother.
yeah,
Who
apparently
apparently
we were separated at the
man
womb.
everything.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, no, I'm just fuck this. Okay.